Okay guys, hi there. Hope you're all okay. It is day 6 of the Kwanzaa series and it is 2:15 in the afternoon. I sincerely hope that I am turning out to be awake enough to do this. Not that I didn't get any sleep, it's just that part of me is in hibernating mode somehow. Because I think all the stressful memories and the things and the discussions and all that is past now. So I can go back to being a lazy bear in winter. So yeah, hibernating sounds pretty cool. In Austria, they have 2 meters of snow. I just watched that on telly last night. And in the south of Germany, which is quite close by, considering it's about 600 kilometers or something, they've got a lot of problems with snow and traffic and people's, the roof of the house not being strong enough to support that much volume. And one thing I didn't know is that wet snow, there's of course dry snow and wet snow. Wet snow is actually a lot heavier. Now that I think about it, I know that it's obvious, really. But I'd never really thought about it, that depending on the type of snow you get, the situation is really quite different. So, yeah. That doesn't have anything to do with Kwanzaa. I was trying to, bring in anything as far away as possible from today's theme, which is creativity and its relationship to the community. Because if there's one thing that has really struck me and that's really been very useful for me, even now, when I think I've only worked with this just a couple of days, really, it's the emphasis on community. And that's exactly what I was looking for in when I started this Kwanzaa series, and also before that. I was really looking to get more in touch with you guys and what you're doing and sort of become a part of some things at least, because I'm done being a hermit in the way that I have been a hermit. In that way, okay? I don't mean necessarily, I will never be a really gregarious person or a really, like constantly going to parties, and that's not going to happen. Of course not. So, depending on what your viewpoint is, I am still going to be a hermit most of my life. However, I like to be more aware, particularly, of what other people are doing, and especially I like to get rid of the, single-minded focus on myself, the perspective of which happens when you grow up as a hermit of some sort, that you are so terribly encapsulated in your own set of perspectives that you really can't see beyond the end of your nose, right? So that is something that's really, I find really that's quite, I'm done with that. I'm so over that, because it used to be, the perspective within my family, within my ancestors, and all those people were really, whether I consider them ancestors or just my forebears, people who came before me. All of them were, to some extent or other, really victims of quite a lot of hardship. And in the long run, that tends to create people who don't trust ever, and who don't engage in new contacts. And so they cut off a part of their own lives again and again, year after year. And if you grow up with people like that, then you're not going to learn to connect ever. So there you go, in a nutshell, really. Another thing I wanted to say is that these spreads, these Kwanzaa spreads, are just so well thought out and so beautiful. Even though it looks really simple, it is quite a challenge to keep it up and to keep at it and to go for it, really go the full mile of what it can give you. But because of that, it's also very rewarding. And apart from from the couple of the ideas and the insights that I've gained so far from this whole process, I also find that my spreads, it's like they have a life of their own, because there's all these symmetries and all these, it's really very beautiful and harmonious within each spread. And I'm actually looking forward to, when day 7 is done, sort of go back over it all and see where it takes me and see what the patterns are, because it's quite special, quite something. About day 7, that should be tomorrow, ideally, I might actually be able to do it, but we will be on the road. So I'm going to take my deck and take my book and my phone and everything, and preferably, record in those circumstances. And that would be nice, because then it's, I can conclude it. And I've done a couple of days, consecutively. So it would be really nice to just, bundle the whole thing up, do day 7, and then come to this, level of completeness with that. So I'm hoping. Here's hoping. Okay? Question number 1 in the theme of creativity is my special area of creativity. This is a fun card. I have to fish it out. This is Marielle. It's a kind of a bit of a scary card. It is the Ace of Wands. There's 2 lion faces going back and forth like that. It's not my favorite Ace of Wands, really. I like the wings, and I like in general, I can quite, it's the head, not so much. It's lion heads, and one of them is going like this, and the other one is like that. So, and red hands and all the rest of it. I'm not complaining. It's Marielle. So, how I see this is my special area of creativity now is becoming a human being. And that means something quite different than I was expecting. Again, yay for that. It's more at the back of everything. It isn't about the activities or the hobbies or putting pen to paper, really. It's about who you are. So I am creatively engaged with who I am now at this moment in this period of time, which I think is pretty amazing. Number 1. Number 2, how I currently express my creativity. And I get another Wands card, the 10 of Wands, who's a knight on a horse. This is one of my favorite-ish cards, because there's quite a lot of them. I think half the cards in the Marielle deck are my favorites, really. And shouldn't they just do a proper borderline edition? And what would it be like on US Games cardstock? And meh. Anyway, we can dream, right? 10 of Wands, being everywhere at once. That's how I feel this. How I currently express my creativity is I don't take no for an answer. Wow, that just came out like that. And especially from myself, I want to do everything. And because I don't have to go out in the workplace and stack tins in boxes and, type of stuff, nothing wrong with that. I used to do that type of stuff. Not with tins, but with other stuff. And it's quite fine. I respect the day job, totally. But it does take up a lot of time. And it's in this world, either you get time or you get money. I have time. So I am quite happy that I express my creativity, apparently, in quite a number of ways. And I'm actually quite maxed up to capacity, I should say. With all sorts of things. So I do 10 of Wands. everything is done in my wands perspective. There has been more wands in these spreads, and every time I'm happy to see them, the Knight of Wands, etc. Because they represent fire and passion and being true to yourself, really. So lovely. So far, no problems. How my creativity, number 3, honors my ancestors. Oh my God, there they are again, my ancestors. And I get another ace. And this time it is the Ace of Cups. Cool. I suppose, yeah. I suppose I value, yesterday we had a 10 of Swords concerning the purpose of the ancestors and the way I have to abandon everything concerning their ideas about things, the stuff that I got to be a consumer of as growing up as a kid was really the end product of quite a number of processes on their side of things. Everybody in the ancestor lineage, everybody out there. And however, nowadays I see each and every one of them as an individual with individual needs and desires and a soul to honor. So, Ace of Cups, excellent. Love it. Love it so far. Really beautiful. How my creativity promotes unity. That's interesting. In the world. Unity in general. It doesn't say unity in my community. It says just promotes unity. I get this card, and it is the 5 of Swords in the Mary L. This is one of those cards that I think are just so beautiful with the owls. Let's see if I can. I hope you can see that. It tends to be a bit of a strifey card, a bit of a opposition card, and so it doesn't look like I'm promoting unity at all. Depends where you look for unity, I think, and it depends. It depends very much on your perspective. From where are you looking at things? And I suppose we're all learning. Each and every one of us is learning, and I'm all about that. So I think it's much more important to learn that which you need than to be still tied to your mother's apron, if that makes any sense. And this is where you get these symmetries in my spreads and these patterns coming out. Again, because I had an ace, a 10, another ace, and then a 5. And for the next question, card number 5, how my creativity beautifies my community. Wow, excellent. I get the 5 of Pentacles, which looks like this in the Marielle. And we are familiar with the Rider-Waite version of this, with the church window and those 2 kiddos out there in the snow. I kind of get this because I kind of stress for each and every one of us each time. It's all I can do is you're alone, and from there on out you link up. You have to be an individual first. I think I do that a lot more than I really notice myself. I'm not aware of the extent to which I constantly plug personal sovereignty and personal, I'm all so much more about that. I don't even know it anymore because it's the air I breathe, which I don't get to see, of course. So, which is kind of cool that solitude and or loneliness, which is just one side of solitude really, has to do with oneness, with being an individual, and that is actually a thing of beauty. Oh, now I'm gonna cry. Sneerf. No crying. How my creativity benefits my community, which is another thing. It's not the same thing as beautifying, although maybe. And we're back with the wands. I get this massive goddess, all shiny. It's like she's a gladiator or something. Queen of Wands. And she's got this little pussycat cheetah in her lap. So I always see her as an immensely strong, broad-shouldered, broad-bodied hunk of a woman, really. And being strong and looking after the little ones, always. Which links up kind of with the Ten of Wands earlier about, I have a lot of these little puggles, little animals that surround me, and I have to look after each and every one of them. And I didn't ever think of things that way, but what with spinning and making stuff, and everything's part of a process, and everything's woven in. Everything I do is woven in with what you are doing. So isn't that cool? Those are all new thoughts to me. This is pretty excellent. How I can be more creative is the 7th and last question. And I get the only major card of the series. And it is Justice. Which tends to make me go slightly ew, because it means stepping out, speaking out, being more I'm looking for a word. I'm ending up with all sorts of negative words, which I don't want. More principled. I am principled in all sorts of ways, but I don't like challenging people. Even though I think that most of what we do on this planet sucks as a species, and we should really look after it much better, and we should stop doing all those things that pollute and destroy the oceans. And can we just not do those things anymore? Can we just use all our ingenuity to overhaul the system that is, forget about the past, think only of what would be the best, greenest, most future-oriented way, to organize whatever it is that you're thinking about. However, one thing that tends to worry me no end is, living in the Netherlands, that's something that's really in my face most of the time, is our human population, just our population density and how many of us there are. And the whole system has to change. And the tools are there. I know that people are inventing in Eindhoven, which is like 20 kilometers that way. Is it that way? Yeah, sort of. There are plenty people who are working on environmental, engineering, new ways of engineering stuff, etc. It's still not completely mainstream, which I hate. Anyway. So justice has everything to do, in my mind, with that, with speaking up, speaking out, saying the things as they are, tell it like it is, and not be a chicken, for me. And just not... And sometimes people can be really defensive and they get in my face and all that, and I'm not looking for that. I've always avoided the conflict wherever I could. So maybe I'm more capable than I think. Now I am. It's not about how I should have done. It's never about I should have engaged in that particular type of... That's not going to help us. But in the future, yes, definitely. So let me see. There was one tiny comment that I wanted to make about the aces in the beginning of this spread. What strikes me then is that there are no 2s or 3s or 4s even, which would entail more of a sense of doing things together with somebody else. On this level of creativity, not so much. I think I am still very much a loner, and I tend to be worried about my own perspective and my own thoughts. And so maybe because of that, or in relation to that, I took out each and every card of these 7 in my steampunk deck, which is new, which I don't use all that much again. Here's the Ace of Wands. Here's the 10 of Wands. Quite a solitary figure also. Here's the Ace of Cups. Lovely, beautiful. I love this deck. The 5 of Swords. This is all already a lot more rather weighty, isn't it? Which I think is quite pretty. And this is I like this because it's the, you know, they went to some lengths to get this perspective. It's rather weight, and still it's because of the angle down by the floor. You get this different angle of the window and all that. The shape is different, which makes it even more dramatic, I guess, and quite expressive of isolation or of not being a part of the big family, community, collective. The collective. What? Never mind. Queen of Wands. In the outdoors, not with a little pushy cat, but with a big sturdy horse under her bottom. And she looks like she knows what she's all about. There's a sunflower stuck into the horse's mane. Isn't that cute? And this is what the Justice card looks like in the steampunk, which I like because, as far as I can tell, there is no swords here. Yay for that, because there's enough swords. It's enough. I know the symbol. I know what it stands for. I know. But it's still, after all, it's a weapon used for hurting and killing people. So, yeah. So. Another gorgeous little spread. I am so fascinated how much the tarot is really doing for me. I remember back in the day, and I'm talking about, what is it, 20 plus years ago, I used to own a copy of Rachel Pollack's 78 Degrees. And I couldn't really get around to using it. I didn't really understand that much of the symbolism, and it was just a very big, meaty subject, the whole tarot, and I just couldn't really make sense of it, and it didn't really talk to me and all that. And it looks like I was saving it unintentionally, at least not consciously aware of that. I wasn't, I should say. Sentences. I saved it for now, because now I'm older and wiser, which is a good thing, right? So with that, on that positive note, I hope, I'm going to buckle this up. I think you had my my deck completed deck business this morning, or whichever time of day it is for you. So I'm going to leave it as that. I will watch day 7 today, because then I know the questions and I can write them out. And we will get back to this business tomorrow. Great exercise. I can highly recommend this to everybody. I was so looking forward to this, and it's quite a bit of work, but it just pays off beautifully. Thank you for watching, guys. See you again at the next session. Bye for now.